I ain't surprised if Nuggets go back to back. That won't surprise me.
No, not surprising.
That'd be the surprising thing.
So,
Least surprising thing.
So there's
They did pretty much. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think they did nothing like during the trade deadline.
They did nothing.
Chilling. What's up, everybody? Welcome to an NBA trade deadline episode of the 3on3 Pod. If you're not already, make sure to follow, like, subscribe to the 3on3 Pod and download it wherever you get your podcast. But we would like you to download it on the iHeartRadio app. You can find us on Twitter or X at the 3on3 Pod, and then on Instagram you can find us at 3on3 Pod. And joining me for this special episode, my girl Terrika Foster-Brasby. How you doing, Terrika?
I'm doing okay. I'm doing better. I lost my voice earlier this week on like some random stuff. So,
yeah,
the universe might have wanted me to shut up for a while, but I'm back.
Right. They can't hold you down forever. That's the thing.
Can't hold me down.
Can't hold you down forever. And then also joining us for this episode is weekend sports anchor for the New York Post, Dexter Henry. Dexter, what's happening, brother? How you living?
I'm good, man. I still got my voice. I didn't lose it like Terrika. The universe didn't tell me to shut up. So I guess that's good. Not that Terrika isn't good. I'm just saying for me it's good. So I guess it's okay.
Dexter already on the show throwing shots, Chris.
No shots.
We gonna have to knock him off. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
he don't be popping off like you do, Terrika. That's why the universe didn't take it away. And you be spitting when you pop off, you know? But the NBA trade deadline, right, came and went, and we had so many moves, not necessarily to the level that we're used to seeing as far as superstars, moving, but a lot of winners and losers, at least on paper. And for me, the big winner, of course, is the New York Knicks, right? They get rid of Quentin Grimes. They get rid of that bad contract with Evan Fournier and all that. And they don't have to give up any first-round picks to get Alec Burks, who gives you reliable shooting from the three-point land and also can play one-on-one. And then also Bojan Bogdanovic, who is one of the lone bright spots, Terrika, for your Detroit Pistons. He is a guy who isn't going to be a great rebounder, but he can provide, similar to Burks, really stand-up shooting from the three-point land. He's also, I feel like, an underrated passer, and that helps him because Julius Randle is out for a while. Then you got OG Anunoby, who's going to be out for a little bit. So even though they still need like a secondary ball handler when Jalen Brunson goes out, they've shored up their three-point shooting deficiencies that they had before they made this trade. Another winner for me, guys, is how about the Bucks, right? They get Patrick Beverley. They trade away Cameron Payne. Patrick Beverley is somebody who can be a dog defensively. He's going to bring it every night, but he's also going to be able to knock down three-point shots, and he's not going to command a whole lot of attention from the defense. And when you have Giannis Antetokounmpo there, that leads to more opportunities for open shooters. So I think that was a good move as well. There's some other winners that I have, but I don't want to take all the shine, right? So Terrika, what about for you? Who were your winners for the NBA trade deadline?
Yeah, well, I'm definitely going to agree with you about the Knicks. I mean, even if you didn't include the OG Anunoby trade that took place in late December, I just think they got so much better from a depth perspective. You talked about the added shooting, but I think people may not have realized that Alec Burks actually stepped up his defensive game too. I saw it multiple times as a member of the Detroit Pistons. He was one of the better reserves that we had. So I think adding that piece too also makes a lot of sense. And then you nailed it, not having to give up a first round pick to do it. I mean, this East is crowded right now. It's stacked right now at the top. And I think that their trade deadline moves really showed the seriousness of how they feel about maintaining their status as a serious contender in the East. So I love what they did. I'm also going to give a little bit of love to the Philadelphia 76ers. They picked up Buddy Hield in this offseason trade, giving away Pat Bev. But I love the idea of them picking up Buddy Hield. I think he gives them so much additional scoring on the perimeter. He's one who knows how to drive. I think that he really helps to fill in a gap with Embiid. And I know that Embiid is out and might be out for a little bit of time with this tear, a partial tear in his meniscus. But again, I love the efficiency that you're going to get with Buddy Hield. Now, they did lose a little bit of defense with giving away Pat Bev, but at the end of the day, I think that regardless, they have figured out, as long as Tyrese Maxey is able to continue to lead them, they will certainly be in a great position, at least until Embiid is able to get back. So I think this addition of perimeter scoring is just what they needed in order to keep them in that conversation, at least until Embiid is healthy enough to play.
Yeah, and that's something that, you have to have. You got to plug in different spots when you have a superstar who's down. You got to make these moves. Maybe they don't work, but at least you know that you gave it your all, right? Okay,
right.
It didn't work. Well, we tried, and then you move on from there. Dexter, what about for you? Who are your winners, or some of the top winners from the NBA trade deadline?
Yeah, I think it's clearly the New York Knicks. They won trade deadline day. The Knicks haven't won a lot of anything. As a native New Yorker, I've known this for a long time. The team looks competent right now. They're making smart moves. You guys both hit the nail on the head talking about how they didn't have to give up a first-round pick. Check this out, guys. All the players they acquired, right, this season, Alec Burks, Bojan Bogdanovic, OG Anunoby, and Precious Achiuwa, and they didn't give up a single first-round pick. This is a masterclass by Leon Rose. I loved what he did. The Knicks shored up their bench. You talked about it, Chris. They're going to have some issues now with OG being out, with Julius Randle being out. But when those guys get healthy, if and when those guys get healthy, and we're not even talking about Mitchell Robinson coming back, this is a deep New York squad that can defend. They play hard. Now they have some shooting, which was an issue for them, getting some scoring off the bench. So for me, they're the big winner of the trade deadline. That's an A+ on that trade. It's a home run, whatever you want to call it. They did their thing. I love that Terrika mentioned the Sixers, because I think that was a very good move in picking up Buddy Hield and adding some offense to hold down the fort with Joel Embiid being out. I'm going to throw another team out that I think did a good job. Not a long-term winner that I love, but a short-term winner, and that's the Dallas Mavericks. I loved what they did, picking up Daniel Gafford, getting another backup center. It shows you they might have some questions about Derek Lively being able to start and how that works, and then also picking up P.J. Washington. Here's my only thing, guys, though, with the Mavs. They've mortgaged a lot of their future picks past 2027. So when Luka Doncic becomes a free agent, let's say things don't work out with him and Kyrie, and with Kyrie on the team, who knows how anything's going to work out. I wonder if they're going to have enough, if they're retooling or rebuilding, to keep Luka Doncic happy. But for the short term, they got better. So I like what the Mavericks did to try to get in that top 6 in the West. I think they did a pretty good job there too.
Yeah, no, the Mavericks, yeah, they didn't get as much love, right, as the Knicks did, or maybe the 76ers, but I do think you make some great points. Daniel Gafford can bring, depth to that center position. I like what Derek Lively's been able to do. Of course, he's a rookie, and he's actually surpassed, expectations starting out to the season. So I'm interested to see how all of that works. And like you said, in the short term, they have to capitalize on Luka and Kyrie and then all the pieces around them, because if they don't, to your point, they don't have a lot of draft capital, then in the future it's gonna be quiet when Luka comes up for that extension. I'm just excited to see what these teams are going to be able to do as we hit the All-Star break soon here, Terrika.
Yeah, well, as much as we have just kind of delved into some teams that got it right, not every team got it right at the deadline. Actually, some teams just didn't get it at all at the deadline. And so when I think about the teams who, to me, really bombed this deadline, the first team that comes to mind is the Chicago Bulls. What the hell is happening in Chicago? Obviously nothing, because they was inactive as hell and have been for the last 3 years. And it's actually kind of troubling. So I want to read this quote from their vice president, Arturas Karnisovas. And he says, "We would take a step back, which we don't want. We want to stay competitive. We have an obligation to this city to stay competitive and compete for the playoffs." Bruh, what playoffs? You ain't been in the playoffs. And on top of that, you're barely fighting for a spot in the play-in tournament. My dude, I am so confused at where this team feels their ceiling is, because right now your ceiling is on the ground. How do you remain silent for 3 years at the trade deadline? There was rumors around you guys trading Zach LaVine, nothing. You got free agents, DeMar DeRozan, Andre Drummond. You could have leveraged that. Alex Caruso probably not going to have a better value than he got right now. You could have leveraged that, but you opted to keep this team together. You are failing the city of Chicago. I feel so bad for Bulls fans, and I'm a Pistons fan who went on a 28-game losing streak, and I feel bad for y'all. That's crazy. That's my loser in free agency. It's just, there's no way that anybody can say that. I don't know what y'all doing in Chicago, but that was terrible. Dexter, who are your losers? Who's your loser in this trade deadline?
Top of the list is Chicago for everything that you mentioned, right? Terrika, everything that you mentioned is spot on. What are they doing in Chicago? I mean, the answer is nothing. Clearly nothing. You have DeMar DeRozan, who has value on an expiring contract. You don't move him. Last year, you probably could have got more value if you moved him. Now, here's what I find interesting, right? You talked about how they're talking about playoffs. Playoffs? Word to Jim Mora, what's going on here? No, this is not happening. They are your perennial play-in team. Plug in the Chicago Bulls to the play-in. If you put in play-in, the Bulls logo is right next to it, right there. They're not going anywhere. We don't know what the direction this team is. I'm sorry, in that quote, Terrika, did he say that he had a responsibility to the city and the fans to try to compete? That's what I believe he said. There's no competition there, sir. You're not competing. They're not competing at all. You're competing for what? To be in the play-in? They're stuck in the NBA wilderness of mediocrity. Chris, don't look shocked. You know this is true. You know they're stuck.
I'm not shocked, but they look though, they are close to,
to what?
They're close to making the playoffs, even if there wasn't a play-in. So technically, he ain't wrong, right? Because they are competing. But
are they?
I'm sorry, yes, they're going out there and playing every day, but they are mediocrity in its finest form, right?
Yeah.
They have the pieces there that you thought would be really good for them to make some runs, but it's not going to work out. And yeah, to your guys' point, why not give up, or why not get some value back for DeMar DeRozan or Alex Caruso as well? Caruso is one of the most highly sought after guys with his defense abilities and what he's able to do on the offensive end. You lose Zach LaVine, right? He's done. So I don't understand why currently constructed, they just don't decide to ship off some of these pieces, get a return back, and then they're cooking. So it looks like they're going to be in, Bulls fans, they're going to be feeling it. They're going to be in some rough times.
Not to mention, Chris, they had re-signed Nikola Vucevic in the offseason to a contract that I didn't understand, and maybe it was to hold on to him and try to flip that. I just want to add, since I don't want to just piggyback totally off of Terrika, I think another loser here, and this is more of them just being handcuffed into what they just couldn't do at all. To me, it's the Lakers. Right, the Lakers, they didn't really have that much flexibility.
Yeah.
They couldn't get anything done. LeBron was doing all the passive-aggressive stuff with the hourglass emoji, and I don't know how those conversations went with him when they told him there was no moves at the deadline. I'm not sure what the Lakers could have done, but they seem like a team that they've got talent. They made the run to the Western Conference Finals, but can they make a run again? LeBron's getting older. We are all seeing that AD is not that dude to put the team on his back. He's not that guy. And the Lakers just kind of are what they are. I'm not sure there was a way for them to improve. Maybe DeJounte Murray, but why would the Hawks have traded DeJounte Murray now when they could get more value for him in the offseason? So, yeah, the Lakers, if they wanted to improve, and you know how their fan base can be, they weren't going to improve. So, they got to take an L on this one.
Yeah, but I will also say, though, the thing that the Lakers do have in their favor is that they definitely have some moves that they can make from a trade perspective. So when it comes like to the offseason, granted, it's not going to be anything that's going to be effective for them immediately. And I know that will tick LeBron off, who has the ability to exercise his player option. But they at least have some type of leverage that they can utilize even on draft night. If they want to make some moves in order to move up in the draft, they have the pieces now and they have the picks now to be able to do that. So it depends on, when we're looking at the Lakers as winners or losers, it really depends on what you consider a win and what you consider a loss. In terms of them being able to make some moves that will effectively give them in better positioning to contend for a championship this year, absolutely not. But when it looks at what their future could look like, then their ability to use draft capital to move up, I think that's a win for them in that aspect.
Terrika, I think that's a good point. That is a good point because they would have 3 first-round picks that they could trade come the draft by holding on to that. So when you look at it from the future, I do agree. I think that's a fantastic point there in that if the Lakers are looking at this long-term, I guess the only pushback I have to that, and you kind of alluded to that, is how's LeBron looking at this? Because everything with him is short-term, right? Everything with him is short-term. So that's a point I definitely agree with. Yeah.
Yeah. What about the Warriors, though? They are 11th in the Western Conference, and they decide to do nothing except trade away Corey Joseph. Outside of that, they did not make any upgrades to the roster. And maybe it's because Steph, I know Mike Dunleavy, GM, said this is what he wanted to do, or they did explore a lot of things. But maybe also Steph's like, no, I want to keep this roster, my core guys here with me so we can do this. Might not work out, Steph, but part of that, or maybe that's part of the reason why they didn't make any moves, because as great as they've been better with Draymond in the lineup and Jonathan Kuminga getting more time and Steve Kerr actually making smarter decisions with the young guys. They're still 11th, and they have a lot of ground to make up for. Klay Thompson is hot and cold. He's not reliable. Andrew Wiggins got some bright moments, but I need that consistency. So they're a loser to me because they're on the verge. Well, right now they wouldn't make the play-in at all, let alone the playoffs. So the Warriors, they're a loser for sure, even though, they have a lot of great history, but they're just not making the moves that I would do if I were them, Terrika.
Yeah, no, I would 100% agree with that. And I think that's just that loyalty factor, right? Because it feels like that's what this is at this point. It feels like there's just a loyalty factor there, which is a very, oxymoronic concept when you think about it. Like most teams in this business don't have loyalty to anybody. And yet the Warriors, which at this point, given how people have played and given where you want to solidify yourself for the future, that loyalty should actually leave at this point when it comes to players like Klay Thompson, whatever. But we've also heard the rumor mill that they're not going to move any piece that Steph Curry isn't okay with moving. And he's not going to say, sure, get rid of my boys. Sure, let's get Klay out of here. Or sure, he doesn't seem to have that kind of character to do that. So there's a loyalty factor there that keeps them in the position that they are. And it's going to keep them out of the postseason if things continue to move in the way that they're moving, especially the way that West is continuing to stack up. They're only going to get better after this All-Star break. And that's real. So I know that we're supposed to have a mini discussion about what may happen in June of the NBA season, Chris. But Chris, I ain't ready.
You ain't ready?
I ain't ready.
You ain't ready?
I don't know.
You scared? I mean, I don't know either.
I'm scared as hell.
I don't know either. That's the beauty of it. We're not sure who's going to come out in the West or the East. Other years, it was like, okay, we know it's going to be the Cavs, or we know it's going to be the Heat. We know it's going to be the Warriors, or maybe, even further, we know it's going to be the Spurs. This year, it could be the Celtics versus the Nuggets. We saw what the Nuggets did Thursday night against the Lakers, showing that championship pedigree and just ability to thrive in high-pressure situations. Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, special. But then I'm also thinking Boston showed at times where they don't have the mental fortitude to get up for a game against an NBA team in the Lakers who were without their 2 best players. And they thought, it's going to be easy. It's going to be a cakewalk.
And got rocked.
They got rocked. They didn't just lose like by 1 or 2. Even that would be embarrassing. They lost handily. It was a very convincing loss. So I don't know. Could you say the Bucks? I'm not worried about them in the regular season.
I know you ain't talking about the same, but not the same Bucks where Giannis just got up in the fourth quarter and left the bench like it was nothing. Them Bucks, that Bucks,
don't do
that team that I told y'all was gonna be a problem after they hired Doc Rivers because that man don't make no adjustments.
Don't do that. Okay. Don't do that, Terrika. I'm tight. You actually caught that because I caught that too when Giannis did that. I think it was after the Suns game. Yeah, I don't know what was going on there, but clearly frustrated. I feel like if somebody said, your life is on the line, you got to pick 2 teams to make the finals. Right now, I'd say the Denver Nuggets and the Boston Celtics.
Okay, I'm glad you didn't say the Bucks. Just glad you didn't do that. Yeah, no to them.
Me neither.
I wanted to, but I can't in good faith.
Yeah, I think if I had to pick two, Chris, I'd have to go with those same two. Because when we talk about the West, do you guys trust the Clippers yet? Like, they're balling. They've been playing really good.
No.
But you know,
No,
you
nobody
guys
trusts
know
the
the
Clippers. The Clippers
right.
don't even trust the
They don't
Clippers.
trust themselves, right? You know the motto, Terrika. Clips are going to clip, right? Clips going to clip at some point. Clips going to clip at some point, and I think that's what everybody's waiting for. Do they have the talent to get there? Sure. But there's a couple of things. We don't know if the Clips are going to clip, and we don't know if the Clippers are going to stay healthy. Those are the big things there that I think you worry about. Then I think else when you look in the West, it's, all right, do we trust the Timberwolves?
Nope.
No, probably not.
Inexperience.
Right, inexperience. And then as much as I think all of us like probably watching the Thunder hoop, do we trust them because of the word you just mentioned there, Terrika? Inexperience. I'm not sure you're going to trust them as well. Now, back east, I'm with Terrika on this. I don't trust the Bucks. They couldn't stop the three of us on the perimeter. They can't stop anybody on the perimeter right now.
But now they got Patrick Beverley, so they're going to be, a tremendous defensive team.
Well, they will definitely step up defensively with Pat Bev, but I still don't trust. It's coaching. Coaching is why they will lose. Mark my words.
Hold up. Giannis is saying, they going harder in practices. Like, you got to catch your wind a little bit more. The install is really
which are shots
good,
at Adrian Griffin, but yes.
No, yes, yeah. If he meant it or not, it is a shot. But nah, we coaching is we'll have to see. Coaching and personnel, because Damian Lillard is still going to be a liability on defense.
Absolutely.
Right? Like Patrick Beverley can clean up some of that depending on the rotations, but Dame is who he is, and he needs just to be an exceptional offensive player to outweigh what he doesn't bring on the defensive end. But Terrika, you've been ducking smoke. Okay.
I have been ducking smoke. Okay. Oh God. When I tell y'all I don't have the slightest idea, so I reserve the right to change my mind in April with these predictions because I just don't know. But I'm gonna go out on a limb. I can't believe I'm about to say this.
Don't do it, Terrika. Don't do it. I know.
Well, hell no. I wasn't finna do that. Don't worry. I wasn't about to say that.
Okay. All right.
But I am gonna go out on a limb and say this. I do believe that the Eastern Conference Finals will be the New York Knicks and the Philadelphia 76ers.
Wait. Yo.
I believe, first of all, I've been saying all year that I think Tyrese Maxey is a superstar.
Yeah.
And he plays, and I'm so happy that he'll be an all-star because it is deserved. Mm-hmm. But I believe that team is good enough to sustain a high level of play while Embiid is out. And I think Embiid will come back in enough time to really put the team on his back. I think they'll play well through the first few rounds of the postseason. I think they'll play well enough to beat Boston because I think they'll see them in the second round because they'll be a lower seed.
Right.
And I think it will come down to the Knicks and the Sixers. And if you were not excited for a Knicks and Sixers Eastern Conference Finals, you are not a basketball fan. That is one of the best rivalries we can ask for in the playoffs. I would love this. And I think the Sixers will win.
Wow. Whoa.
And I am going to put Jokic and Embiid as the NBA Finals.
Okay.
All right.
I thought you were going to go all the way and say the Knicks were going to make it to the finals like some Knicks fans I know.
Hell no.
Yeah.
Hell no.
Don't go that far.
Hell
go
no.
that far. Okay. We got you.
Girl, child, Dexter, no.
Hey, that's how you know. That's how you know you're real comfortable. Because you calling Dexter girl, that's how you know.
It's all family here. It's all family.
No.
My wife does the same to me. We'll be joking. Like, girl, what you talking? I'm like,
you got to back up because you're like, wait a minute. I don't really mean you are clearly a man, right. And it's very obvious.
Thank you for acknowledging.
No, ain't nobody putting no Knicks in no damn final.
Terrika, people have been doing this. I actually was on something.
Well,
they're going a little too far. I think conference finals.
I can't go that far.
I think conference finals.
I believe you can do.
I think that's attainable for the Knicks. I think finals. Now, I'm not saying anything can happen once you get to the conference finals. I just think that's a little too far. What I like here is I like your faith in the Sixers, even playing well with.
I do.
I like that.
I do, because in the Buddy Hield trade, to me, adding that additional perimeter scoring is really what put me there, because I've always felt that they have a strong enough base that they're able to contend without Embiid. It's difficult when, I think seeing them play in some of the games that they've played without Embiid against certain teams kind of helped to bolster that faith a little bit for me. But I really believe in Maxey. And so again, I reserve the right to change my mind in April. So don't y'all come for me on social media. I will clap back. I am not the analyst that will let y'all come for me. I will clap back. But I'm saying that I think that could be a really great conference finals. It could shape up that way just based on seeding, because I could see the Sixers being somewhere in the middle of the pack, around a 4 or 5 seed, like not necessarily at the top, not too far, obviously not too far below. So I could see that happening. Meanwhile, I think the Knicks could end up being a higher seed. So it could easily be a Knicks and Sixers conference finals. And I think that would be interesting. Now, once they get to the finals, if they do get to the finals, I ain't saying I see the Sixers winning it all.
Right. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Come on now.
I mean, you could get there.
Right.
But I ain't surprised if Nuggets go back to back. That won't surprise me.
No,
so
no, not surprising.
That'd be the least surprising thing.
So,
least surprising thing.
So there's that.
They did pretty much, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think they did nothing like during the trade deadline.
They did nothing.
Chilling.
Nothing.
Yeah. But Terrika, your point about I reserve the right to change, my opinion. It reminds me of that clip that Charles Barkley had one time. Like, I know for a fact, but I'm also just guessing, because
right,
that's what's gonna happen. But actually, it's just a guess. A calculated guess.
Yep.
Look, in this year, that is certainly possible. And to your point about the Sixers being able to survive without Joel Embiid once before they get to the playoffs, that very well could happen. It would not shock me. And yeah, Sixers Knicks, I'll be for that, because Knicks fans are crazy. Sixers fans, they're out of this world. We already know how Philly Nation, goes down. So yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yep.
And I also think, as we, kind of wrap up this discussion around NBA trade deadline, I think it's going to be really hilarious to see how Damian Lillard and Patrick Beverley get along, because I'm gonna give out, my hot take on that. Because Patrick Beverley and Damian Lillard do not like each other. And even though they're going for a championship, and Damian Lillard said, yeah, we putting all that personal stuff aside because we want to win, or I want to win, I expect Damian Lillard and Patrick Beverley to be best friends, hanging out at each other's spots before the season is over. Because it goes from, I'm going to beat that ass, right, to, hey, man, let's get the family together. Let's eat. Let's go out and get a barbecue or something. I think that's what's going to happen, because we saw it with Russell Westbrook and Patrick Beverley. They didn't like each other before when they went to the Lakers, and now everything's good. They're having Thanksgiving together or whatnot. So that's my hot take, that they are going to become really good friends. Dexter, you got anything on the plate serving up hot?
Yeah, I got something a little bit hot, man. I think you got to watch out here in New York for Jalen Brunson rising up these MVP ranks, man. Because Terrika kind of alluded to this. The Knicks are rising up. I think they could finish as a top 2 team in the East. I talked to somebody who said, to a rival GM, that said he thought the same thing. I think they can. I think they're playing unified, and it's all because of Jalen Brunson. We got to stop talking about Jalen Brunson as a star. Just that. Stop talking about the fact that he's small. Jalen Brunson's a superstar, man. Let's call it what it is. He's a superstar. And I think it's just time to own it. He doesn't look super athletic. Yeah. He's not flashy, but he gets the job done. And that's all that matters in hoops, right? Get those 2 points and stop those 2 points or 3 points. And I think he's a superstar right now. I think he's a bona fide MVP candidate. I think the Knicks would have to win a little bit more for him to surpass, obviously, Embiid if he comes back and plays enough games, or Jokic. But I think he's rising there, can get into the top 3 or 4 with Doncic in there as well, too. If the Knicks get over 50 wins, which I thought they could this year, I'd put Adam in 50 wins. If they do get over that, he's going to be right there in this conversation. I just think it's time we stop disrespecting him. Put some respect on his name. That man's a superstar. That's my hot take.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, you know what? My hot take ain't even in the NBA. My hot take has to do with the WNBA because WNBA free agency just passed last week. It's been some crazy moves. Natasha Cloud is now with the Phoenix Mercury. Skylar Diggins-Smith is moved on to the Seattle Storm alongside Nneka Ogwumike. So we got a whole new big three, whole new super team out in the Pacific Northwest with Jewel Lloyd. That's going to be dope. But what y'all better stop doing is coming for the GOAT, Sheryl Swoopes. We not having that. We not having that. All y'all WNBA or women's basketball fans out there that's enjoying the college game right now, that's looking forward to your favorites going to the WNBA, that's beautiful. I love that for you. But you better respect those who did it before you. And it wouldn't be a WNBA if it wasn't for people like Sheryl Swoopes. So y'all better get your together and quit coming for the GOAT. Any of y'all out there wearing them shirts talking about don't be a Sheryl, don't be a 4-time WNBA champion, don't be a 3-time MVP, 3-time defensive player of the year, don't be an NCAA champion, don't be a Hall of Famer, don't be a 3-time gold medalist. Are you kidding me? Amen. Y'all better cut this shit out and stop coming for the GOAT. And that's on period.
I love the energy on that. I thought you were gonna come for Michael Porter Jr. I thought that's who you were coming for there. But we ain't gotta talk about it.
I ain't even giving that man don't even deserve a mention on this podcast. Keep it going.
Thanks.